Okay, so today we're going to talk about the differences between Charlotte and New York City because I am a New Yorker who ventured out into this move 5 years ago, and I wanted to share with you what it's like through the eyes of a New Yorker, especially somebody who lived in New York City, comparing New York City to Charlotte. So let's get started. So the number one difference is Charlotte is still quite southern in nature, even though there's a lot of different variety of people from different states that are moving here. You actually can stumble upon people that are from all over United States, sometimes even different countries. But still, it has that southern charm, southern nature, especially the suburban area. And it's in close proximity to Charleston, which is as southern as you can get. I happen to love Charleston. I visited quite a few times. It's very unique, and I highly recommend for you to visit if you are moving to Charlotte. Now, the second difference between Charlotte and New York City is the subways. In New York City, you don't really need a car. You can get around using a subway all around the 5 boroughs. In Charlotte, you have to have a car. In New York City, you can have a car, but you don't need one. In Charlotte, you do need one. And I'm remembering when I was living in New York City and I was taking a subway, sometimes coming home late at night and encountering a couple of rats. So I really do not miss that aspect of living in Manhattan and in New York City because they are scary. So that's a plus, and that's a big difference from those two cities. The third difference is that there are not many skyscrapers in Charlotte as opposed to New York City. New York City has a lot of skyscrapers all around, especially in Manhattan. So when you walk out on the street in Manhattan, you don't really see the sky that much. You see like a small little piece up above. And in Charlotte, really the skyscrapers are pretty much in the uptown, also called downtown area in the banking industry. Once you leave that area, everything else is pretty spread out. There are no big skyscrapers. The fourth difference between New York City and Charlotte is that the countrysides are pretty much in very close drive range from Charlotte Metro to anywhere you go to. It's within, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes in order to find yourself in a rural area. In New York City, in order to see a cow, you have to drive about 4 to 5 hours just to see one. That's a pretty big difference. Another difference between Charlotte Metro and New York City is renting. If you are renting in New York City, you are lucky if there's a laundromat down the street. If you are renting an apartment in Charlotte Metro area, you will most likely be renting in a community that has a pool, a gym, a clubhouse, and most likely there will be a washer and dryer inside your apartment, which I found to be very useful and convenient, and a huge difference from when I was living in Queens and I had to lug my laundry into my car, drive it into a laundromat and do my laundry there, because I lived in a pre-war apartment and there was no laundromat inside, nor there was a washer and dryer. So that's another thing, is that the units that you rent will have various amenities, including even valet trash, which means you put your trash out in front of your apartment and they come and pick it up for you. And these leasing offices are always striving to provide as much of a luxury experience as possible for their tenants so that they can get the most units filled. I don't have a problem with this. I actually love it. I love the fact that there's a much more convenient way to live around here with these amenities. And I don't miss lugging my laundry on my back or having it dropped off and having a service do it for me, which in the end adds up in price. And the last difference for today that I'll talk about is parking. In New York City, you pretty much have to parallel park everywhere. In Charlotte, most of the parking is conveniently located in large parking lots. You just pull up and park your car and get out. So I love the fact that Charlotte, everywhere you go, is convenient in terms of parking. And this concludes my differences between New York City and Charlotte. Overall, I really love living in the South. I love living in Charlotte Metro. There's so many different unique, interesting things to see and do. And you can check out my channel as I talk about different neighborhoods and parks and restaurants that you can visit. As I mentioned in my other videos, Charlotte is really not a party city, and you do have to find the city on your own. And I will be talking more about the city, the state parks, and interesting things to do around the area. So please don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for future content.